So it includes this one, two segments. So later Jenny will come in as our invited speaker, will come in and share more about her being a trust officer, what are the things that she always see. Okay, but I'll be sharing about some technical knowledge, but mostly about sales techniques. Because it's about how you close your trust case. You all can see the screen, right? Okay, closing the first trust case sounds very straightforward. But every single step is crucial because most of the time you are dealing with mass affluent or up to high net worth. So especially for new ESP, if you haven't even closed your first will case, you haven't even do your own will, then you jump straight into trying to close your first trust case. And then I tell you, no matter how good Heng or Jaslyn who go out for joint appointment with you, it severely diminishes the chance of closing. Okay, that is the reality. It will diminishes your chance of closing. It's not that the client don't need the product, because you are so unfamiliar and you are, you go in with an attitude to say that, oh, don't worry, Heng and Justin will do the whole job. It doesn't really work that way, because when you deal with this type of clients, itself, they have a lot of bankers. They have either priority banking or high net worth, even private banking. So you bring in this type of clients itself, it's not that there's no chance, but in a sense that they will sense that you are not as good. So I have cases where after we close the case, the client just tell us that can I don't deal with the ESP, and it kind of sucks because due to PTPA you are the ESP, you know, the client feels that you are just like a referrer because you totally don't know, and it upsets us because we believe that you're supposed to go out and represent us, right? So you have to do all the steps I put here. Okay, you have to, right? Today, if you have to watch my video again, or after that have a few sessions, discussion, let us know, right? Okay, so this is the product. First thing, understand the product. Close yourself. Close yourself is very important. Okay, even if you think that I cannot afford a standby trust, or I myself, just imagine you can. Then after that, go in and do the whole thing yourself, right? Okay, close yourself first. Then after that, practice, rehearse, and then you must establish your own marketing funnel. That means you need to go and look at, okay, do I know people who are mass affluent on so and so forth? How do I reach out to them, right? If you only have only one mass affluent client, you hope to close many. You cannot assume that this one person will be the one referring to you from that case onwards. You yourself can go and reach out, and you'll be surprised that, your not so rich friend know quite a few rich people also. Their uncle, their auntie, can be doing quite well, staying in landed, but your client is the HDB dealer, correct? Yeah, so that also very frequently. So don't assume that the client that you close will be the one that is referring all their good friends to you. No, actually your HDB dealer is the one that may potentially refer. So you need to establish your marketing funnel, and how do you reach out, get these people to refer to you, right? Okay, then after that, once you have all this pool of people, then you need to profile and identify who are the real prospects. Okay, then after that, since you are first case, then you do joint appointment. It's not that we don't trust you, but I will say that we are available for you to help you close your trust first case. We can do the joint appointment with you. Okay, although there's only a few of us, basically me and Justin, and my kid nowadays also quite busy. So, but the joint appointments itself, we can go there. And in fact, itself, I have to tell you, even TOT advisor, okay, still call me to do joint appointment. If someone who is TOT level still call me for joint appointment, and if you are not at that level, then you have to ask yourself, why don't you utilize this precepts resource to do it, right? Okay, then after that, you need to do closing. Okay, what are the things that you need to do to close? Then finally, it's completion. It's a two different step. Some of you are like, closing and completion isn't the same. Different. Closing means you collect the deposit, then completion means you sign the trust deed and the will. So our sales process is slightly different from your insurance sales process. It's like, you know, underwriting, but underwriting you don't need to pay deposit. For us, yes, you need to pay deposit. Okay, let's put it a bit more interactive here. Because in order to close, you need to know what is hot buttons. What are the potential hot buttons for the clients, right? To actually what are the hot buttons that the potentially people will do to buy a trust case, to set up a trust. Okay, now this is not this is an interactive part of it. You all can go inside your chat and tell me what are the potential hot buttons. How many hot buttons are there? Is there 10, 20, 30 hot buttons, different hot buttons, where people will actually say that I want to set up a trust? And what are these hot buttons? Can you all maybe key inside the chat? Because the more you interact, the more you learn. Today's session, I want to put it more interactive. Anyone? Irene? Alvin, are you there? How many people do we have today? 40. Okay, what are the hot buttons? Oh, nobody. Oh, don't know. Okay, do you think that your money will be spent? Okay, what is spent ideally? Okay, but still good try. Okay, what are the hot buttons? It has to be hot. It's not warm. Yeah. What are the potential hot buttons? Nobody know. How many are there in the hot buttons? You're there now. Full go Santai, okay. Oh, okay, it's a wisdom lah. Wisdom, is it hot? Okay, this is the part where we need to be more clear what is hot and what is wise. And also you need to know how to make it hot. Yeah, young children delay distribution, okay. Provide for young children. Yeah. It means you want to make sure that your money goes to your young children. Take care of the young children. Okay, delay distribution so that your young children don't anyhow use money. Any other potential ones? Single with elderly. Okay, single with elderly parents. This is not hot button. This is profile of the client. Okay. Provide for elderly parents. That is a need, right? Okay. But singles with elderly parents. But the problem is hot button means the problem. Yeah. Worry need to. Okay, Michael, that one is objection. That's not a hot button. Okay. Clients need to worry about pay recess a high fee in the trust. Okay, that one is objection. That's not. Yeah, that was client in custody. Okay, don't want his assets to go to the ex-wife. Okay, that is a hot button. Don't want assets to go to ex-wife. That's a hot button. Okay. Property succession is a process. It's not a hot button. Right. Okay. So let's you see, the thing is you need to identify what is a hot button. Okay, features, products, okay, process, procedure. That's the thing for salespeople. If your language is not clear inside you, it won't be clear to your client. Okay, please differentiate between profile of the clients, the procedure, which is like property succession is a procedure. So good try is okay. The more you try, the more that you'll realize that I can share with you all that why you're not closing. Okay, so some of it, this is okay. Now, okay, then after that, you have to ask yourself this question. So first of all, we identify that, do we know what are the hot buttons? How many hot buttons are there that we can go out and press, right? Then after that, we have to ask ourselves this question. These are all the questions that you have to ask yourself whether you know. what's the pricing? Do you know for a single person what's the pricing? Just now I show you the promotional price. Okay, so you know that what is the normal price for standby charge, right? How much is the deposit you need to collect? I went for a appointment. I closed the standby charge case. The client take out the checkbook already, so it's closed already. The checkbook is there. Client take out the pen, then ask issue to who and how much. Then the ESP look at me. Hey, I already go all the way help you close the case already. The checkbook already came out. Then the ESP look at, I don't know issue to who, I don't know. Are you sure you are a representative? Sorry, I'm a bit harsh, but I need to be harsh. Are you sure you are a representative? You don't even know how much. You imagine you go to some of you have heard me before. You go to a KFC restaurant, you order your two-piece meal. Then after that, the counter girl say don't know how much it is. Wow, what will you do? You call the manager, right? How can you train your staff to like that? And then we are not selling a $7 two-piece meal. No, we are selling what $10,000 product, and the salesperson don't know how much the product costs. And check issue to who? Okay. Now then after that you have to ask yourself, you know, actually for an estate plan with a standby charge, do you know that what are the components inside? Okay. You can put in the chat to be a bit more interactive, yes or no. Okay, do you know what are the components inside? Actually, just now, when you look at our standby charge package, you will know that total how many components are inside that the clients need to pay. How many components? Estate plan with a standby charge. You all try. If you all don't try, you all cannot. You won't get it. You know. I already put a potential answer there. It's will. Then, other than will, what do the client need to purchase? Okay. Yeah. LOW. Okay. You need, yes, you need the client to complete the LOW. Okay. What else? What are the components that the client need to purchase that will cost the clients money in a standby trust package? You have the will, you have the trust setup. What else? Okay. So if you don't know, then you are in trouble. And not every single component actually there's a GST liable. Yeah, okay, good. Xingyi, okay, you have will, executorship appointment, you need the exclusive lifetime custody, you have the trust setup. Okay, yeah, okay. A lot of you will miss out the trust disbursement fee. Okay, how about the and also the initial trust fund? How much is the initial trust fund? These are the components of the standby trust. And initial trust fund, do they attract GST? It doesn't. So there is certain component that has no GST on. Okay, then what do you know? What do you know? Do you know that what's the difference between TT versus standby trust? Okay, if the clients is it suitable to move to the standby trust from a TT, or do you think that okay, maybe the client should step down and just do a TT? Because the client will ask you, why don't I do a TT? Okay, how about is it possible to do a testamentary trust with a standby trust? Do you know all this possibility? Okay, then you have to know what are the questions in the letter of the wishes, right? Okay, and you have to understand that what are the various types of beneficiaries and the various types of distribution methods. Now, if you are expecting me to give you all the answers to all these 13 questions in today, it's not going to be possible because I only got a 45-minute session. But you need to know, okay, out of all these 13 questions, what are the things you don't know? Okay, then after that, fill up the gaps. Today, I'll only cover some part of these 13 questions. Okay, take a note, which are the questions you don't know? Right. Now, let's talk about, just now I mentioned about practice and rehearse. So the question is what to practice, what to rehearse, and then what to prepare. These three things you need to practice, rehearse, and prepare. Okay, so now this part of it, I need to just quickly share with you what are the things you need to practice, prepare, and rehearse. Now, pre-close, you need to know how to identify hot buttons. Okay, later I have one component I will talk about hot buttons, then which is related to case studies. How do you use case studies to identify hot buttons? You need to prepare an emotional hook. Okay, for those people who attend my sales booster before, you will understand what I mean by emotional hook. Okay, what you and is based on what you say and how you say it, and it's based on the benefit, not based on the feature of the product. Okay, you have to have the emotional hook, and then important thing is you must differentiate between features versus benefit. Very common mistakes made by salespeople, right? You will say that, oh, the benefit is we are professional trustee. No, professional trustee is a feature. It's not a benefit. Okay, yeah. So if you go in and tell a client that, oh, we are professional trustee, full stop. No, you're just describing what we are. You're not, the client doesn't understand what it means. It means that the benefit is that you will have peace during Chinese New Year dinners, right? You don't have your children holding each other throat, gossiping about behind them. He don't know he got use the money or what. Okay, say all these kind of nasty words to each other. That is the benefit. Okay, the benefit of having a professional trustee who is a neutral party. That is a feature versus the benefit. So a lot of time we just stop short of the feature. We never extrapolate into the benefit. How the product works later, I will cover it. Okay, you need to know and you need to relate. Okay, oh, this product works this way. Therefore, you will enjoy this benefit. Okay, the product, the trustee will manage the assets in two different pools. Okay, that's a feature. Then end of the day, the benefit is that your two children will quarrel among themselves. Okay, then you need to know what's the difference between LPA Form 1 and Form 2, stuff like that. You need to be able pre-close, all these are pre-event. You need to know how to explain the pricing and the deposit. Okay, and important thing is you need to know what are the paperwork to do. Okay, and how to collect the deposit. Sounds very elementary, but you know, some of you are okay. Now, as you can see, this whole thing is a tick box. You go and take a picture of this screen, and after that, in your picture you go and take which are the things you have and you know where to get. Okay, yeah. Basil, yes, you can have the slides. We all share our slides in the marketing folder in the Dropbox. Yeah. Then you ask yourself, because again, you must understand you are selling a $10,000 product. So definitely there is a certain amount of effort required to be able to close a product that is that kind of price, right? Do you have a sales kit? Do you have a folder or a PDF inside your folder that you can explain to your client what are the things? Okay, inside your sales kit, you should have your brochure as well, right? Do you know where are brochures and what are brochures to use? Right, letter of engagement, you know that, okay, where to go and get this document, get the client to sign. Where is our fee guides, whether the wills, the trust, and the LPA, right? How much deposit and how to make the deposit payment. Okay, and then of course you need to confirm the appointment, and you must prepare the profile of the clients if you're asking for a joint appointment with me or Jaslyn. That means you have to tell us the client has expected to be let's say single, or is it couple with adult children, or couple with young children, or special needs kids, so on and so forth. This kind of rough profile, would need to supply us so that before the appointment we have a clue of how we're going to tackle the clients. Okay, and then you need to prepare that, what are the information I need to collect from the client. Okay, like for example, I need to collect the IC, I need to go and find out what are the beneficiaries details. Okay, these are all what you need to prepare. So please make sure that you got all the boxes ticked, right, before you go for the appointment. You must know all this kind of stuff. Now, after you close the case, then after that, you still need to do the second appointment. The first appointment, the key objective is to collect the deposit. The second appointment is to finalize the estate plan. The third appointment is to sign everything. That is usually how it works, right? So in the second appointment where you are going to finalize the estate plan, that means you have to structure the estate plan after the discussion with the client. You need to be ready with all this. What you need to practice, you need to practice how to press the hot button again. Your first appointment is to identify the hot button. So the first hot button, let's say for example, the hot button was that the client says that my spouse don't know how to manage money. Okay, that is the hot button. My spouse don't know how to manage money. So he's very concerned that the money given to the spouse will be squandered away. Okay, or she will go and find some godson and then give the money to the godson to be swindled away. So when you come back to during the appointment itself, the second appointment, you must be able to press that hot button. Second thing is that you must also bring up the case studies and stories to link the distribution concept that you're going to share with the client, okay, to the features itself. Now, you mean that you use the stories to explain to the client, Mr. Client, you see, because of the Yang Yin case like that, right? So therefore, the best way to distribute to your spouse that is like maybe potentially get scammed will be like this. So this is what the trustee will do for you, right? So you link the hot button to the case studies to the distribution concept. Okay, so this is how you should be doing it in the second appointment, right? How to distribute structures. Okay, there are many different ways of structures, but we won't be covering too much of that, right? But I will give you all some ideas later. Now, I mentioned already differentiate between features and benefits. Okay, then you need to explain how the product works. Okay. Now, second appointment itself is the time where you need to go back and tell the clients that, dear Mr. Client, initially you have put in this deposit. On the third appointment, which is we're going to sign, this is the outstanding amount that you need to pay us. So you need to know what is the outstanding amount. Okay, and how you ask question is also what you need to practice. Okay, don't just go in and anyhow ask question, otherwise it's going to be a pretty unproductive meeting and the client will be like, do you know what you're doing? So the second appointment is the point where you need to ask very sharp and precise question. At the same time, you need to do a lot of assume close methods. For those in the insurance business, you know what is this assume close method. Okay, this one, my size is a bit mixed up. Okay, this no is post close. Okay, sorry, there's a typo here. Post close, what to prepare. Okay, so you need to prepare for the clients itself. This is the structure. Okay, when you second appointment itself, you need to discuss with the client the structure of the estate plan. Now, the structure of estate plan means that how they want to distribute. Okay, so you need to find out during the appointment itself what are the assets the clients have. Oh, the client says that I have Malaysia, two pieces of land. Okay, and Singapore, 1 condo, and then I have 2 million of insurance with you, and plus 1 million with the banks. So this is what you need to ask. Then you have to ask who you want to give to. Then the client says that, oh, my Malaysia land, I want to give to my eldest son, right? Then because he travel very frequently to Malaysia. Then after that, the money there or the money used for my spouse. Now, how to distribute? Okay, essentially, how to distribute? You have to ask. The first question is, do you want the client to your beneficiary just enjoy the fruits, or you want to give them the whole plantation? Let me say again. You want this beneficiary to have the Mao San Wan fruits, or you want to give the whole tree and the plantation to the beneficiaries? Okay, this one is a very fundamental question, because if they walk into the law firms, usually the law firm will ask, they will assume that they want to give the whole plantation. And they want to give the whole plantation, you know what they do? They will sell them the eggs. Sounds very contradictory, but that's the truth. Okay, they walk into a law firm, they say, I want to do estate planning. The lawyer say, what do you want to give? Then the client say, I want to give the whole plantation. Then the lawyer say, nah, $250, here's the X. Makes sense, what? Makes sense, what? But that's what everybody is buying. Okay. No. Then if they come to you, right, you'll say, hey, client, you got the whole plantation. You have to ask. So you want your wife to enjoy the milestone every year, okay, every season. But at the same time, I'm going to provide some gardeners and workers to continue to tend your plantation. So that's how it works. This is called life tenancy, right? Okay, enjoy the benefits while alive. Right. Then of course you also want to consider like, oh, do you want to give rewards or life goals achievement distribution? Then we'll talk about also installment distribution, whether the person needs to give at a certain age and all this, how life goals are. That means life milestones. You can call it life goals, you can call it life milestones. When you hit 35 years old, when you have kids, then you get the money, that kind of things. Yeah, so these are all life milestones and life goals and rewards. Now, the thing is this, when you do an estate planning that involves a standby trust, don't assume everything is given through the standby trust. Let me say again, just because you have a standby trust doesn't mean that everything is distributed through the standby trust. And the answer is no. Okay, if you have a Rolex watch, please go and distribute the Rolex watch with the will. Not go into the standby trust, then after that use the standby trust to distribute. It should be inside the will, okay? Landed property distribute through the will, not through the standby trust, okay? Because you have the data, I'll cover more detail. And then you need to discuss about how to manage the assets. Because it's a long-term project, right? The trust is going to long-term. You have to tell the trustee how you want to manage the assets. Okay, whether the assets going to be held in stocks and bonds, what kind of stocks? Is it dividend stock, growth stocks, or is going to buy insurance policies, or what happened to the property if it's en bloc? Okay, do you want the buy more properties for your each child? All this is how to manage the assets, and you must provide the what if scenario. What if scenario, just like I mentioned, if the property get en bloc, how? If your child got severely disabled, then how? If your child want to go overseas for education, then how? So what if? Don't assume that everything just provide for local university, right? And then the next thing is you need to ask end of the trust distribution. So if let's say, for example, you say that, oh, when my youngest child reach 40, then all the assets will be distributed. All assets distributed like that. No, right? Then you chop the plantation into slices and then just give. No, right? Not necessarily like that, So end of trust distribution can also be a plan within a plan. How do you give when the wife, after your spouse passes, when the testator spouse passes on, then how the children already reach all 35 years old and above, then how you want to distribute? You want to just give like that? Even if you want to give to charity, I always like to ask the client this, you sure you want to give the charity to build, to have a golden toilet bowl, or to do good? Okay, because then they will start to wonder, oh, wow, really? That means you don't think that charity or give one lump sum will do? Not necessarily. Sometimes charity you should give in installment also. You know why not? Because every year they change their board. They change their donors board. So if you give every year, your name will be there for 5 continuous years, rather than 1 year you give one lump sum and your name is there for only 1 year. So unless your amount that you give is so big that you are perpetually considered founding member or all those kind of classification. So if your client is just giving 20, 50,000 or even 100,000, you want to spread over a few years. The name may be smaller, but it's there every single year. Okay, so these are the things that you need to prepare. Now, just now I asked you all, do you all know what is the difference between a TG and standby trust? I briefly will cover this. but this is actually covered in our our trust training for ESP. So for those people who need to recap, please go in and there. Now take note that you will always be asked this question. So why don't I just do a TT? In fact, you yourself will ask this question, just do a TT lah. Put all the instructions inside the TT. Good enough. Okay. You realize that yeah, both TT and the standby trust, the trustee can all be corporate, right? But the key thing, some of the key things here is that you see yes and no is that standby trust can do critical protection, but actually that one is in most cases not relevant. Yeah. So, but the cost of the standby trust is higher, and one powerful impact is that it covers mental incapacity, right? So standby trust itself, you can do an LPA form 2 and covers mental incapacity. You can nominate your standby, you can nominate your CPF to the standby trust, but the TD you can't, right? Okay. Now the administration fees for administering a TT and standby trust is exactly the same, right? We just look at the total assets, and then after we charge a percentage with subject to a minimum. So that one is the same, right? But a standby trust as a protector, okay, these are the difference. Both the TT and the standby trust is discretionary. That means you give the trustee the right to make adjustments to the payments, right? Okay, and private and confidential is important. So it depends on the clients. You will notice that some of the differences is not very crucial to the clients that is sitting right in front of you. So you have to decide whether these are the same or these are crucial. This is a very simplistically difference table of difference between standby trust and the TT. Okay, just now we talked about hot buttons. Now this is just some of the potential hot buttons, right? Look at it and then you study it and you understand. Okay, now some of it looks like features are okay because I read it in a way, but it's essentially important selling points. Okay, why people actually do a standby trust? We start with consolidation of assets. Okay, you have complex distribution or multi-layered distribution plans. That means you have plans to distribute over 3 generations in different ways. Okay, then you do a standby trust. Because if you do a will, your will will become about 40 pages, right? So you may want to consider using a standby trust. Then next time you want to amend, it's a lot easier, right? You have multiple category of beneficiaries. That means you have your parents, you have your own children, then you have your maybe your pets, or you have your charity. You have multiple categories of beneficiaries. So they will do a standby trust. They want to cover themselves for mental incapacity. Okay, that one is LPA form 2. Then the client has a substantial CPFs. These are all possible. Then the other one is that why they want to do a standby trust instead of testamentary trust is because their life is still evolving, right? Their children are young, they have certain amount of assets already, and then they foresee that they may have more kids, or their parents may be old but now not very needy. So their life is very evolving, means that they have to frequently change their will if they use a TT, right? So they would rather, then you can actually tell them that a standby trust is a pretty good solution. Now then there's privacy. I got 2 different boxes. You have privacy from others. That means you don't want your son-in-law to see it. You don't want others people to see it. Okay, these are privacy from others. Then privacy amongst beneficiaries. That means you don't want your son to know how much your daughter is getting. Okay, what are the incentives your daughter needs to do to get the money? That is privacy within the beneficiaries. Now, tax efficiency and tax management is in Singapore less relevant, but you will encounter clients, especially expats, that they find that this is very crucial. Okay, so tax efficiency and tax management can be, but you need to take into considerations whether the property needs to be in the trust or inside the will. Okay, like you want to give to charity, liquidity is easy to sell, especially if the clients have businesses. right? Creditor protection, same thing if the client has businesses. But these last 2 points, not some of the most hot buttons, right? Okay, then let's talk about, so just now we talked about this sales process. So what do you need to do? You, first of all, you need to, in the first appointment, you need to identify the hot buttons. Then you profile the asset that they have, right? Okay, so they have a landed property or not, they have overseas assets or not, right? Okay, or is it all like liquid cash and stocks? Okay, you need to profile them, and then you need to profile your clients and the beneficiaries. Then after that, you come to a sales process where you think about, I think my clients are profiled already. Don't think he can afford a standby trust. Maybe he needs, but he cannot afford. Okay, then after that, you have no choice. You have to recommend a GG, right? If not, then you will encounter, you realize that, hey, this client, actually, I just talked to him about will. But after I profile him, I realized that actually he can afford and he's very suitable for standby trust. Then you recommend standby trust. After you recommend already, remember you identify the hot button, you make sure you press it. Okay, a lot of time you all say, oh, I don't know how to press. Yeah, you press it by just repeating the problem that they described to you, right? Okay, yeah, so you need to press the hot button, okay, and then for collect the deposit, right? Then sign the LOE. Now in the second appointment, you press the hot button again, so that you can do your estate planning and you submit your paperwork and go for the attestation. So this is the sales process for the sale. A lot of you all skip the press hot button. You can see the hot button thing. Well, I put it quite often. Actually, one of the ESP, she almost lost the case. The client put a deposit already, then don't want to finalize, don't want to complete. But what she do? She just go back and press the button, press the button. And the whole process take about like close to 2 months. Okay, but when she go back and press the whole button, say that, dear Mr. Klein, remember you mentioned that actually you worried that when you are 80s, you are like the young case, then you get scammed and then you end up very desolate and no place to stay. And that's not what you want, right? That's pressing the whole button. Then the client say, oh, okay, yeah, I forgot about it. I thought maybe a will do. And you tell, then Mr. Klein, the will only takes in when you die, then the assets you already gonna swindle all gone. So actually this standby trust, will take care of this thing. So you press the hot button again. Okay, I'm going to briefly talk about this sales process just now. Remember, after it looks the same. So remember that just want to highlight that when you submit, okay, we will actually load that up to Bonder. And if you don't have access to Bonder, please make sure you do, right? Okay, and then you need to actually upload to the Bonder that the client see. Okay, so this is more or less the sales process. Okay, now we'll go into a bit of the gist of it. But we're doing the appointment itself, what exactly we say. Okay, so I talk a lot about what are things you need to prepare, right? But now we're going to talk about actually how to press the hot button, because I mentioned it so many times. You need to explain how it works, and at the same time, you need to identify the hot button. Now, if you look at our brochure itself, there's this little chart, very nice cube chart. Okay, but a lot of you all look at the chart and then some of you don't even know how actually it works. What are the important features of this? Actually, here there's a total 4 or 5 different components that you can actually elaborate and don't just like cover in 2 minutes. By this chart itself, sometimes I can take about 15 minutes just to talk about this chart, so that I can identify and press the hot button. Okay, and within this brochure itself, there is this nice little diagram as well. For $50 per year, you are still in control. That differentiates us from the living trust, right? Okay, if you don't think that this is important, wait till you meet a high net worth that is prospected by many private bankers. Because when you talk about this feature, then after that, the private banker say that, tell the client, oh, our yearly living trust product maintenance fee is $8,000 a year, your client will remember your $50 a year. Okay, so a lot of y'all think that, oh, this $50 not much, yeah, but wait till you meet the high net worth client. And it's only during the upon death and incapacity, as you can see, you know, the boat is a bit sinking, then you throw all the assets into the standby trust. And this little picture is really very powerful infographics. Okay, setup fee is 5,000 and the initial trust fund is $1,000. Okay, let's go into this little picture that just now I mentioned. Now, do we need to go in sequence? It depends on how and where you want to press the hot button. Okay, so I usually start with the part where it's let's talk about the top right hand corner. Top right hand corner, the standby trust will benefit whom, right? You don't talk about how it works first, you talk about who you benefit. So we talk about, let's say, the first group of people who will benefit, which is Mr. Tan and spouse, right? Okay, so upon mental incapacity itself, Mr. Tan and the spouse will be the one benefiting from the standby trust. So that is the first angle you need to go in, right? You start to talk about this Yang Yin case itself. You use the Yang Yin case and explain to the client, says that if only the old man, Madam Chung's husband, has set up the standby trust before he dies, then in that sense, Madam Chung will not be holding on to all the title deeds, holding on to all the assets, and then let Yang Yin swindle her. Yang Yin even change her will, change the LPA, all this. If the old man has done the trust, there won't be this kind of problem, or a lot lesser of the problem, right? Or for example, Dr. Freda Paul, before Dr. Freda Paul become dementia lonely, right? She will have actually done out the standby trust, take care of herself, take care of her assets. So we will take care of her assets, then she won't be swindled close to $6-7 million by the construction worker that she befriended just because these workers they were working on the project that is her neighbor's project. Okay, then after that, once these people got to know her, realized that, hey, you are alone. Wow, then they go and befriend the maid, then they move into her house, and they start to swindle her a lot of money because she already dementia. Even the lawyer, they also bring the lawyer on board, and the lawyer actually, despite the fact that realized that the Dr. Freda cannot count, still transact the property sale. Or you want to share that the client itself, the spouse, is very vulnerable, doesn't know how to manage money, within 1 year, $1 million gone. So you need to use all these stories to identify hot button. We have one client attended our talk, listen to this part of the story, says that he used a very loud voice. He totally can agree with this story, and the reason why he put the deposit on the spot itself is because he is very confident that his wife will not be able to manage the money. So after listening to different part of the story, the Yang Yin part can relate a bit, but it feels that not very old. But when you look at the young wife with children, don't know how to manage money, she got very hot. Okay, and then if you talk about use Changi Airport case where the one that took the most amount of money from the lady is the brother who asked her to invest in the business. Then the client got very agitated, very animated. Okay, another case where young lady, this 40+-year-old husband died, the Ferrari Hwee case. At the end of the day, within 4 days, get cheated, putting money into some form of bogus investment. This one should be quite familiar. All right. Okay, so or in this case itself, very lonely lady, then get befriended on Facebook, then 7.9 million. Okay, so she's rich. The husband died, 49 years old, business, millionaire. Give to her, end of the day, 7.9 million, all gone, right? So these are a lot of stories you can share just to talk about the component where the top right hand corner of the brochure. Now, if not, then you say, oh, even if your wife know how to manage the money for the first 15 years, you look at this lady, when she 30 years ago, she was fantastically managing the money for 30 years straight. In the end, just one phone call, when she's old, she lost all the money already. Okay, yeah. So what if you know how to manage? A lot of the objections to say that my wife very young, my wife very knowledgeable now. My wife accountant, she know for 25 years at the most crucial part when she's old and vulnerable and she needs the money, she get cheated. Right. You see, 72 years old when she needs the money most, she get cheated away. So what your first 20 years you are young and you are, you're not susceptible to influences, but when you get older, things happen. So I'm just talking about the top right hand corner of that diagram. If you all remember, taking care of yourself and taking care of your spouse. Now then we talk about another hot button. These two hot buttons are very crucial, which is consolidation of assets and then control of distribution after testator demise. Okay, these are two core concepts you must be able to explain to the client. Then, which part of it? Within this diagram itself, is this part where you use a will, you use your nomination, so on and so forth, to consolidate into the standby trust. Okay, now this is an important feature and benefit. Which stories to share to relate to the problem? This one is covered in our business succession talk. Okay, that one I need to spend like 20 minutes just to talk about it. Try to figure out, try to learn about the story. Okay, we still have our videos that I gave. Go and listen to the session. This is the case where Lim Tiam Ti, okay, go and split his share to his descendants, then the descendants go and split the shares into their the grandchildren, and end of the day, the lawsuit has 2 plaintiffs and 8 defendants, including family members. That means the grandchildren who has not been involved in the business also get sued. Yeah. So you need to consolidate the assets together, not to split the shares down the road. So these are some of the stories you can explain. Again, this is also another classical case where the will just split everything equally, and end up you look at this equal shares. If you look at the number of shares owned is 25,000 each, right? So 25%. And for the first 5 years, everything was okay. Subsequently, everything was just down the road, right? Okay, 120 million. So consolidation of assets for high net worth is pretty important, okay? And they can use the trust to actually do all this, yeah. Control of assets is another key selling point that I always like to sell when closing a trust case, because never assume that after the person died, they must give everything up. In a sense, Whitney Houston's story is very crucial because Whitney Houston will actually continue to control her assets after she died. So it prevented 90% of her assets didn't go to the ex-husband, but it goes to her own family when her only daughter also died young. So controlling of these assets using this diagram itself is very, very powerful. Okay, using these stories, please go and share. And I love to use this chart because, in fact, this chart, right? Okay, you are channeling a life benefit feature where you leave behind 200,000 to the children, to the parents. If they never finish using it, the rest goes to your own children. Now, why is this part very important? I will bring in another story. This is the part where you talk about controlling of the assets upon the testator death. We talk about the Hong Kong flying goose, rose goose case, where the two brothers starts to quarrel, and then the sad thing is that who is caught in between the quarrel? Who? because again the assets is split. Then you know, very old school of doing one piece of land, I will divide like that, and then after that they fight and the land become inefficient, and right, the drama is this. So who get involved? The mother. The mother go and side one son, go and side another son, side here, side there. Who suffers? Right? Okay, it's as good as a TV drama. Right? At the end of the day, the spouse is the one that is suffer. Because why? Because it was poor estate planning. Okay. And then after that, the mother end of the day switch camps some more. So this is the part where if only the old man has done certain things, number one, consolidate the assets together, and don't let the mother become the part of tug of war, that means the spouse, because everything you give up, then after that you let your wife to be the one that purposely let the wife to be the one to have a say. Wow. You know, you are making everyone suffer, especially the wife. Okay, so this is the part where where you need to use the testamentary trust and the standby trust, basically the standby trust. Let the trustee hold the shares so that there's no this wife to be, you know, that wife is just going to enjoy the durian season, right? The spouse doesn't need to be, you know, stuck in between the fight between the children. In fact, everything is said by the old man will be done in the trust, right? And in this case itself, of course, another feature is that we talk about professional trustee and executor. This is the part where the uncle trusts the own nephew, but in the end, the uncle actually never the nephew actually never fulfill the intentions of the uncle. Okay, then the last part which you need a potential hot button you need to press is related to the bottom right hand corner of the diagram, where the secondary loved ones. So in the standby trust itself, you are here, you are talk about, just now some of you has raised that, you know, your son-in-law, your daughter-in-law, can you really trust them? Okay, in the end, the father like to stab the son-in-law to death, right? And the daughter says this, you know, I let my father experience pain that is beyond, you know, if not, then you talk about the fact that, wow, young people, you give them fast car, and or they drive themselves to death, they crash onto cars, they crash cars, okay, or they start to take drugs. All these are possible stories you can share. Now, the next hot button that you can press, of course, I personally feel that it's a very limited hot button, but for the higher net worth, it's a very good, feel-good factor. Okay, we'll talk about, my trust, I will do entrepreneurship, funding, you know, because Greg itself, actually, he don't start in a garage, he start with 1 million from the mother. So all these kind of things are a bit more altruistic. So if you ask me whether most of our clients are appealed by such kind of, unless the client got 20 million. So otherwise, usually all these higher values seems to be less hot when you're closing the case. Only when you're collecting a deposit, it's nice to have, but it's not something that really get them to put the deposit. It's usually the first few stories, the Yang Ying case, the Changi Airport case, all these, it will really appeal to them because fear and greed, fear is always more pronounced. Right, all these are actually things that feels very good. You can talk about it. You talk about charity, why they want to give, but usually this is mentioned at the end, not something that you clients during the final estate planning, they will tell you, okay, let's do this, but they will never, because of this, go and do a trust. Right? Okay, yeah. Okay, now I'll talk about the last component that is very important. Quite a few more components. Wow, Jenny, I think I'm overrunning my time a bit, so I'm not sure I will try to wrap it up. The rest of the component. So, okay, this one you need to know what are the components of the standby trust. Everyone needs to know. So I just now asked the question, do you know what's a component? Component is a will, custody, executorship appointment, setup fee, whether there's a joint settle or disbursement fee. Then you add up together, then you add the trust fund. Actually, this table is available in the Dropbox itself. You need to study this. Total amount payable is $8,040. Now, once you look at this amount, you realize that not all your clients will be willing to, can afford and willing to put in this money to do trust, right? If they have, I say, $500,000, $8,000 is doable. If they only have like 100,000 in their bank, they may not feel so, even though they bought a $2 million policy from you, they may not be very enthusiastic about doing this, right? Okay, so this is something that you have to understand. Then if let's say, for example, you close the case already, you need to look at the deposit that you need to collect is $3,013.60, right? Okay, if you want to add on the LPA itself is $4,013.60. So this table itself, please be familiar with it. And yeah, okay. And if you're not familiar, can always go to our payment page. Everything is there. Just click on it. You can see all the numbers, right? And if you want to compare against the TT, is here. Right. Okay. I think I have to stop here. Okay, because of the time wise, 3:30 about there, right? Is that correct? 3:30. We supposed to go for a short break. Okay, so I'll answer some of the questions here probably later together with Jenny. Okay, okay, you give the maid, you know, standby trust help, then okay, so on and so forth. Right, okay, what we're going to do is now we're going to take a short 5 minutes break. Right, we come back at 3:35. Right, and at 3:35 itself, we invite Jenny to come in and share some of the common objections and challenges that people face, right, in doing standby trust. So we come back at 3:35.